In a city where everyone measured their worth in destinations reached, there lived an old cartographer named Isadora who had never left her workshop, while others boasted of distant shores and conquered peaks. She spent 70 years drawing maps for those who could afford to travel, her fingers stained with ink the color of places she would never see. Her maps were legendary not for artistic flourish, but for their absolute precision. Sea captains trusted her coastlines with their lives. Merchants built fortunes, following her trade routes. Explorers planted flags on summits she had triangulated from second-hand accounts and mathematical certainty. Yet every evening, when Isadora closed her workshop and climbed to her modest apartment above, a familiar weight settled in her chest. She would stand at a window, watching travelers return from their adventures, their faces bright with stories, while she had only the silence of her four walls and the ghost maps etched behind her eyes. One winter night, as snow began to fall and her 71st birthday approached, a young woman entered the shop just before closing. She wore the weathered clothes of someone who had walked 1,000 miles, and her eyes held that peculiar exhaustion of those who have run from something rather than toward it. "I need a map," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of where?" Isadora asked, already reaching for her collection. "I don't know." The young woman's hands trembled. "Somewhere I haven't ruined yet. Somewhere I can start over. You're supposed to be the best tell me where to go." Isadora paused, her hand hovering over the carefully organized drawers. In 7 decades, no one had ever asked her for direction, only for documentation of directions they'd already chosen. "I'm a mapmaker," Isadora said gently, "not a fortune teller. But you've mapped the whole world. You must know the best place." "I've mapped the whole world," Isadora repeated slowly, hearing the words as if for the first time, "and I've been nowhere." The confession hung in the air between them. The young woman looked at her with something between pity and confusion, and Isadora felt the familiar shame rise in her throat, the shame she'd swallowed at every dinner party, every family gathering, every casual conversation. "Where have you traveled?" served as society's measuring stick for a life well lived. But then something shifted. "Sit," Isadora said, gesturing to the worn chair beside her drafting table. "Let me show you something." She pulled out not a finished map, but her personal journal, a thick volume she'd kept since childhood. Page after page revealed her life S-work. The careful notations from ship captains describing the phosphorescence of tropical waters, the sketches from mountaineers detailing how light changed at different altitudes, the pressed flowers sent by grateful travelers from meadows she had helped them find. "This merchant," Isadora said, pointing to a faded letter, "built an orphanage with the fortune he made from a trade route I charted. This explorer discovered a healing plant following a path. I mapped it, saved her daughter's life. This captain," her voice caught, "this captain proposed to his wife on a beach. I helped him navigate to safely." She turned more pages, her voice growing stronger. "I have never felt sand between my toes or salt spray on my face. I have never gasped at thin mountain air or heard a foreign language in its native land. But I have touched them all through the trembling hands of those who return to say thank you. I have traveled through every person whose journey I made possible." The young woman was quiet for a long moment, studying the maps on the walls with new eyes. "I've been to 43 countries, she finally said. "I thought movement was meaning. I thought if I kept going, kept experiencing, I'd finally feel valuable. But I'm exhausted, and I still feel empty. And you, who've stayed in one place, seem to have touched more of the world than I ever will." Isadora smiled, feeling something unlock in her chest a door she'd kept barred for 70 years. "Perhaps," she said softly, "we've both been measuring wrong. I envied people their journeys while forgetting I was the architect of them. And you chase destinations while forgetting that presence, not distance, is what creates connection." She pulled out a blank sheet of paper and began to draw out a map of somewhere else. But a map of her neighborhood. She marked the bakery where she'd eaten the same breakfast for decades, the park bench where she'd sketched travelers' descriptions, the church bells she'd used to measure time, the window where she'd watched seasons change. "This," she said, sliding it across to the young woman, "is the only map I can honestly give you. Not of where to go, but of how to see where you are." The young woman took the map, tracing the simple streets with her finger. "What if where I am isn't special. Everywhere I've mapped seemed ordinary to the people who lived there, Isadora replied. The extraordinary isn't in the place. It's in the attention we pay it. It's in what we build there. What we give there. That night, after the young woman left, Isadora didn't feel the familiar weight of unlived journeys. Instead, she felt the substance of her own life, the thousands of safe passages, the discoveries enabled, the connections made possible through the quiet devotion of a craft. She had never left her workshop, but her work had traveled everywhere. She had never seen the world, but the world had passed through her hands. And in the end, that was its own kind of journey, one measured not in miles, but in meaning.